Hello everybody, Mark aka the Nerdy Punk back again today for a new video. First of all, cheers everybody. Hope you all are having a really great night. Tonight's brew of choice is called A Little Crazy by Revolution Brewing. If you're not familiar with Revolution Brewing, they're a brewery out of Chicago and they make incredible craft beer. I haven't had one that I don't like from them. This one, I think it might be new. It's the first time I've seen it in my liquor store. It's a Belgian-style pale ale. So really good hops, definitely some good stuff here. If you're a beer fan and you have access to this, it may just be a Midwest thing. I don't know if they have like nationwide distribution, but if they have it near you and you're a beer fan, definitely go check it out. Alright, so enjoying a nice craft beer. And we're getting ready to talk about a Weezer album. So this is a good night for me. So, today I'm talking about the 14th studio album released by Weezer. And that is OK Human. It was released today, January 29th, 2021, via Crush Music and Atlantic Records. So, right off the bat, I'm going to say that I absolutely love this record. Again, I've only spent a few hours with it, but after those few hours, those first few listens, this album has really drawn me in. I'm going to put the artwork right up there. The artwork on this album is fantastic. I love the artwork so much, I literally followed the guy on Instagram that made this artwork, because I just love it. It's so unique, very complex, obviously. You got some references to vinyl, to music consumption, to technology, obviously. You got a little alien thrown in there as well. It's just a really great piece of art, and I love that they chose it for this record. Now, before I start, I want to mention the title. So, OK Human. OK Human is, of course, a reference to Radiohead's 1997 record, OK Computer. So I love the reference there. I think out of all the Weezer albums, this one sounds the most like Radiohead. Not saying that it does sound like Radiohead, but it definitely has more of a chill vibe to it, as opposed to a lot of Weezer's music. Definitely the least rocky album, if you want to say that. I looked at Wikipedia. Under the page for this album, their genres listed include Baroque pop and chamber pop. And I definitely get that vibe here. If you don't know, this album was recorded with a orchestra. And every track features that orchestra on this record. And it's very unique sounding for a Weezer album. Which I'm perfectly fine with. They're going to put out their 80s inspired rock album, Van Weezer. They're still putting that out this year. So we're going to get that. We're going to get the guitars. But instead, with this album, we get something completely different. We get something more stripped down, more personal, in my opinion, more intimate from Weezer. This is one of their sadder albums, if sadder is a word. One of their saddest albums, perhaps. The lyrics are very, at times dark, definitely melancholy, and I really, really like that. A lot of my favorite music is frankly very depressing, but I love it. And you do get that vibe here. I love the themes with technology. Just going through some of my favorites on this record. The first single, All My Favorite Songs, is an incredible single. It's one of the catchiest songs Weezer has ever put out, which is saying something. Very earwormy. I love the lyrics. Maybe not the greatest lyrics that Rivers has ever written, but definitely relatable, for sure. So I love that song. Alu Gobi, I think is how you say it. That's the second song on the record. Loved that. I should also mention that this record was recorded during the COVID-19 quarantine. And so There are some lyrics that relate to that are inspired by that, and Alu Gobi does that perfectly. It talks about trying to avoid human beings, being agoraphobic, not going to movie theaters, that kind of thing. So definitely some stuff that we all got accustomed to in 2020. The third song, Grapes of Wrath. I mean, I could really go up and down this track list. I don't think there's a bad song on here. The song that I guess I would say is the worst is Everything Happens for a Reason. And the only reason I would say that is because it's only 24 seconds long. It's just a little instrumental part. So out of all the songs, that's definitely the worst. But it has its role. It has its place within the album. And that leads me to another point. The flow on this record is amazing. This is an album that was meant to be listened to front to back. It's not meant to pick out songs here and there to listen to. This is definitely an album in every sense of the word. You should listen to it from beginning to end. And the songs flow into each other so beautifully. So I really loved that. I found that really unique. Continuing on with my favorite songs. So we have Numbers, which is a really good kind of slowed down song. I mean, the whole album is a little bit slowed down, but this one especially. And this song, the lyrics really got to me. A lot of lyrics about depression and kind of social media addiction, which is some things that I think all of us are going through. Even, a 50-year-old Rivers Cuomo can relate to. The idea of counting likes and, being depressed when somebody doesn't like your stuff, or, and not enough people are engaging with you on social media, and so you get kind of depressed. I loved that song. Screens kind of follows the same line. So Screens is really about Rivers kind of being depressed at his kids who have, addiction to social media, and how we're spending all of our time looking at screens and we're kind of not experiencing the outside world. It criticizes technology without being like overly preachy, which I really like. Because, I agree with a lot of the criticisms. I myself find myself doing the same things. I'm addicted to social media. I'm addicted to smartphones. And I think it's really important to admit that. I think we all are, frankly. If you can't spend more than a few minutes without checking your phone, you have a problem. And, I tell my students this a lot. If you physically cannot put it away, that is a problem. If you're with other people and you can't stop looking at your phone, you have a problem. There's some sort of addiction there. And, we all suffer from that. So I love those themes, obviously, throughout the record, but especially on Screens. And like I said, I could go throughout the entire track list. I didn't necessarily put these on my favorites list, but, songs like Playing My Piano is where I can hear the Beatles and Beach Boys influence the most on this album. Mirror Image is a short, little catchy song about love. Here Comes the Rain is a really good kind of optimistic note that comes towards the end of this record. So yes, I loved this thing front to back. Just kind of looking over my notes here. I think I covered pretty much everything I want to cover. Now comes the time to give this album a grade. And I would give OK Human by Weezer a 4.5 out of 5. Very few flaws at all with this record. The only things I could really relate to or give for flaws is maybe the lyrics aren't as strong as I would like them to be. But, for the most part, this album really knocks it out of the park. Alright, so that's OK Human by Weezer. You definitely should check it out. I know it's only January, but so far it's my favorite album released in 2021. We'll see what else 2021 has in store for us. I hope you guys have an incredible weekend, and I will see you later. Bye.
Just call on me and tell me what you need. Look at him, look at her, they got a million likes. You better figure out how to multiply, divide.